very well. Kilo de a sobo. Pastel, Bobby, Bala, I will not allow myself to be afraid beyond the concept of this thing. I have plotted as I caution. That will depend on the weather over the next few days if it remains as dry as it is. And next few days, we must press cautiously to ensure that everything is in place. What are you talking about, Jago? We will begin a series of bushfires all around. I have a better plan. So I can. And I think the help we should get from the fire will create a better opportunity for more of us to escape instead of you. I tell you, I don't have something to work on. What is this? I will tell you when we meet again. Bala, be careful, Bala. Bala! Bala! Bala's action could be a problem for our escape. Jaco, leave him. He make up his mind. I hope he makes it. He will. What may be cause for you? But let us ask, from the planters who killed Juba, Charlotte, Mabuya, and Congolese while attempting to escape. If you see what they do to the others that try to escape, why you want us to do the same? Are we not them? And even if we stay here, they will eventually kill us all. Jaco, maybe we should go a little longer. No. The longer we wait, the worse things become. But how on earth do you expect us to escape now that Bala messed up things? Very easy, Pastor. Very easy.
What to do now? We don't do nothing, so let's follow, so we have to go.
What is all this talking about?
We coming up.
Now, all of you, including Jacob.
We come in.
Hurry up!
We come in. I come in.
All three are back. Anything suspicious up here? We are there to touch the wall with you. They needed some help. Keep your eyes on me. Ewa, let me move. How are you there? I'm in that man. I need that Jacob. Come, enough, sir. Come, follow me. Stand on my horse. Yes, sir. You there. Where are you going? Back over yonder, sir. Pity Jack instructed us to do so. The carcasses of a few animals needed to be moved before first light. And these will take care of that. Yes, but you, who are you? I belong to His Royal Majesty's Special Battalion in lieu of my allegiance to the principles and virtues of her Special Command Forces here on the colony of Dominica. I don't believe I've seen you before. Governor, sir, it's getting late. May we proceed? The horse is ready, sir. All right, then, carry on. But be sure that you report back here to me when you're... Yes, sir. Right after. Zombie, Saru, Marcel, Julian, right behind there is a little tractor into a ravine. There, jump the ravine and go there until you reach a big stone. After that, climb the mound and walk on the edge of the cliff down to the sea. Swim across the big rock in the sea and meet me on the point by the estate. And going the other way, we will meet in 6 hours. Then we will take off. Go on, there. Gentlemen of the Council, the reiterated complaints which I have received following the escape today invite me to propose to you a grant of general pardon and amnesty for all those slaves who shall willingly return to their masters. The masters, in their turn, shall receive the said slaves without inflicting any punishment upon them.
No.
Gentlemen, I submit to your opinion and knowledge of the country in this matter. On the other hand, I will with eagerness subscribe to any additional measures, however harsh, you deem necessary to deal with the runaways, to decrease their numbers, and to prevent the depredations in this country. We are particularly concerned with Jackal, Pascal, Bala, and Tutu, all who have gone missing today. I say we kill them all! Good. You fine men of the council shall build a regiment of soldiers. Get the best and most loyal men available. Clearly explain to them what their mission is. Also, recruit a few loyal blacks among the legionnaires, about 500 strong or more. Get the troops ready in no more than a day or two. These are my orders. Gentlemen,
You mean amnesty for those who return? Who told them amnesty? Not Gentiles. Those guys were too organized for that. They had begun a new life up in the hills under several maroon trees. Among the leaders in the town were Bala, Zombie, Jupiter, Cicero, and Horn. And Jacob, Gore, Greg, and Sandy ran things in the Layu Valley camp in the center of the island. Just above Qualio, there was another camp too, and Bartel was the chief there. The few women who proved the men as chief were also determined to fight it out till the end. Calixto, Angelique, Mary Rose, Tranquil, and Victorine. Yes, they too were up in the hills. Mostly all the runaways were assisted by Jacob, who let us find them up there, where he would become the overall chief. Jacob is here.
whose name was this? Welcome to the gathering of the warrior leaders. We must never again be under the shackles of slavery. We were born to be free. We were born to kings and queens, prince and princesses. Being a slave for a king or a queen? No, Jacob. Being a slave, a prince or a princess? No, Jacob. Well then, let us never ever return to slavery. Let us stick together to secure our future. Let us fight if we have to. And if we must die, then let it be for a just cause. For I rather die than return to the pale-faced coward. Let the bush become our home. Let our children and our children's children know that we did play our part.
But Jacob, all that is easy to say, but what if them rangers come and capture us again?
No time to be weak. We must look it back.
But what if we can't take care of ourselves up there?
No time to be doubtful. No place for cowards. No one will stop our mission. Come on, let us celebrate our freedom with the music and dance of our forefathers. Come on, Tommy, back, beat the drum, the rest of us. Come, let us dance. What will be a force to be reckoned with. Olona to Jaco. And please, Jaco. Yes, Jaco. May you walk the road of the gods of storm. The gods have spoken to me. Bala, you must never misrepresent the spirits of our ancestors.
Jaco is right. Never misrepresent the spirit.
It is the same spirit of my ancestors that has led me to the Rosary Heights to avenge the death of my people.
That makes a little sense, you know, because the white man never.
Never.
We over there with guns, you know, sir.
I will unleash my havoc on the white man, and then you will know who is the true champion among us. Why do you want to do that? Why? Why? Why do you want to kill the people? You know how many of us that died before we reach where we now. I understand. But we cannot just rush. We must plan our strategy. I will kill every white man if I have to. Beginning with the Rosary. Bala, Leah will start together. There is strength in unity. Let us just stay up here a little longer. Jaco, then we'll make our next move. Is either you going with me, or I going alone? Bala, you are young and hasty. This thing could be trouble, Bala. Trouble for those white men. Bala, I older than you, and I can see much more than you can see. Can you see the end of the hills over there? Nobody can see it. Bala, eyesight is not vision. Because you could see and still be blind. Sound like my father. He was smart. Smart as you. Maybe he was smart. Then why are you so bad? I just fighting for my rights. Bala, I have a plan that can free all our people. I have what? It will take a little time. That can destroy the Rosary estate. And it can take plenty time. What will that benefit you? How will that help us? It's only trouble that can come out of that. Trouble? For who? Bala, I can see you make up your mind. But your move can mess up things for us up here. I am living for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Yeah, maybe that's tomorrow. But you must want it, Bala. That's good. Your choice, Bala. Echo telling you of the great wonder. Go with me.
Bala was old to settle a score, and he couldn't even wait to get back to the house. The boy decided to launch his attack on the Rosary estate. Jaco knew what he was up to, and tried to warn him for the final time. I myself, I don't know, but that Rosary attack was the beginning of problems for those late Mawa gentlemen. But Bala was too blind to see, and he was too busy to listen.
On my truth, at last, I will be boss of this place. And then, my son, we are going flattening the Rosary estate. And this is how we will do it. How does it go about that? The bid is either you with me or you with them. I with you, Bala. I with you. We are on the westward coast of the island. And in your Rosary estate is our attack. Cut the big tree, block the ship a little, and then we move. What do we really mean then? When do we leave? We move right now. No, right now.
Your husband, even if only God would come down and plead to Bala, he would not bow. He was only interested in destroying the white settlement, even if it did mean losing his life. Why? Let me clear first, so Bala and his boys could go ahead with their plan.
Let us wait for night to fall asleep. I agree. No, we are losing. No, right now. What is the plan? Where are the weapons?
We have no cannons. We have no gunpowder. But we have stones. Pile them up on the cliff over there and tie them with vines, lianes. And when the soldiers back under, you cut the vine, let it roll down and kill all of them. Yes, Mala, we are on our way. We are doing that and we are moving out. No.
Wait. Boy, I wish somebody would warn Bala. But he would never listen. It was his destiny. And here is how it happened.
Yo, no kaidime dife, no kaidime dife, no kaidime dife yakana, no kaidime dife. Yo, no kaidime dife, no kaidime dife, no kaidime dife yakana, no kaidime dife, no kaidime dife yakana, no kaidime dife.
And if anyone tries to stop you, move him down. Your friend Bala, behind it. No, there's surprise. Bala, I don't think good about that. Too easy, Bala. We have been here for 2 days. Now it's time for us to move out. Finish the job and let's move out.
I was trying to tell all you that attack on Rosary was swift and successful. And when the news of that attack hit them in Rosa, yes, in the capital, I tell you, it hit them hard.
We will kill them, capture them, punish them. Why, we will kill them first if we have to, and punish them
and volunteers followed the maroon trail back up to the hill, giving the maroons little place to hide. Yes, the hunt was on, and Bala was the main prey.
Someday, Bala, things will be better. We will be free one day. You, or son, and I will be happy. Come. See how he grows.
Someday. But when?
I'm so tired. Come sit. Talk to me.
Angel, I am glad that you are here. You really help my warrior spirit rest.
And it should rest from no one, Bala. Let your spirit rest.
I will try.
Oh, Bala. Come. Hold me. Squeeze me. Talk to me. Let's make another try. A girl this time.
Not yet. Our bigger soul is still young.
But I'm ready. And you never know what the future holds.
I know. I will live forever. And even if I die, I will still live.
You frighten me, Bala. You know how much I love you.
I love you too, Angel. That is why I will always be here. Forever.
Bala.
Angelic, soon slavery will be over and our people will be truly free. Laibe Jojo Abawala Uku Ero. Soon my people will be free.
But I feel free right here in your strong arms.
We will once again be in charge of our destiny. We will.
Bala.
Angel, it is almost my turn to look out for the Rangers. And you need to rest. I love you, Angel.
Go, Bala. Esepele, I love you, Bala.
That's all.
Bala. Take this. It will protect you. My family had it for 5 generations. No, it will protect our family. The Boboa. What is that? Hey, move!
Bala!
That is danger!
What is happening there?
Bala, run! That is trouble!
Nonsense! Kill him! Kill him now!
Surrender!
Surrender! Never!
Hands up! Bala, the killer can surrender! Surrender!
Never surrender! Oh my shame you are! Oh no! This is Africa all over again. But by doing this, you shall bring me great glory. Shut him up! Somebody! Round him up! Take him down and finish him up! Cut off my head. Cut off my head. So that this morning I can get some light. You may
so.
Why?
They're waiting on you there.
I'll leave me here to die.
No! Let us go! Take him down! Drag him if you have to!
No, carry. No. I will walk. African warrior. I will walk. Where's my cigar?
All right, bring in the captain. Bring them in, put them down. Your Honor, good fortune has given us possession of the principal runaway chief, Bala. Many of his followers have either been killed or have been captured. The rest are greatly dispersed and distressed. Bala, however, would not suffer himself to be taken until so severely wounded that he could not breathe. The behavior of this deluded wretch at his capture proved him as hardened as previous conduct had done. He refused to answer almost any question that we put to him, although perfectly in his senses. He repeatedly called upon his captors to cut off his head, telling them that they might do so, but Bala would not die. His opiate charm and his child were the only things he expressed much anxiety about. The former he wished to bury. The latter, a boy of about 5, he bid to remember the lackeys of the white man who had fought his father.
Thank you, John. Now who shot the brother?
Peter! Me!
Thank you. Prepare for him the payment of 33 pounds.
Very good. Now, Your Honor, I believe we have some housekeeping matters to take care of.
Yes, but John, do we really have to now?
I think we should.
All right. For the purpose of this hearing, the court will allow the blacks to testify for themselves and God forbid only us.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Stand! All of you! No. Let them sit. We will only take one testimonial to cover for all of them.
All right, sit down. You in the tie, stand up. Bring her there. Bring her there.
Now, tell me about the Maroon Chief up in the hills, and you will be spared imprisonment or even execution.
I can only tell you what I know, but there is plenty that I don't know.
Anything that would tell.
Now, tell this court that the Maroon Chief are wild, wicked, dangerous, terrible, and evil.
Yes, sir. I tell you, so many people.
Excuse me. Have you been living with any of the chiefs?
No, sir.
Well, do not disturb my court and take your stand.
Back in your place. Your Honor, perhaps we can find out from her where Jacko can be found.
Yes! Tell us! We can dismantle him! But why the devil do you insist on disturbing my court? Shut up and take your stand.
Your Honor, I believe it is time to hear from the real person where Jacko is hiding. All right, take her away. Now, bring in Bala.
win in there, dragon. I say stand.
Well, I cannot stand. His body hurts.
It is some sort of a trick, I suppose. I won't stand for that. I say let him stand for this, my kid.
Never seen him like this. He's sick.
Allah. Stand. Remember those decades that killed your father, especially that black white man. My son, revenge is in your hands. Take him to the gibbet at Kokole, where he will remain exposed for no less than 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks precautionary period on that gibbet at Fokole. It's not Bala alone that they kill. Corey Greg, Sister Rue and Sandy were also brutally slain in that same era. Fellow slaves who were financially rewarded betrayed all the chiefs. That slave they call Calypso, she too was on the estate when all them things started happening. And in that same era surrounding Bala's death, she managed to escape to the hills. She was armed with a lot of information for the guys and them. Pastel was one of the few surviving Maroons, and with most of his comrades taken up, he helped himself to 2 wives, Martin and Angelique. But there was still one problem. With Jacko still at large, Pastel's hunger for power seemed almost an impossible dream.
See if he will listen to me again. Freedom to do as I like. Jack, on the other hand, is not making things any easier. Jacko is too much about strategy. I know I can work out something. I would wonder what to be a champion, but Jacko...
Thunder! What I would like to hear? What are you doing?
I am praying to the gods.
It don't look like that.
Sometimes, things seem different from how they really are.
Is that so far?
Yes. Come, my brother. Let me educate you. You must have a purpose in life. You must know what you want, who you are, your rights and responsibilities to your gods, and the freedom to practice your culture.
Why don't you just come with me? Join Jacko.
It is impossible to walk with Jacko.
But you must remember Timothy the key. So it is important to walk with Jacko.
I am walking with Jacko. He just doesn't know it.
But Pastel, your action doesn't say that.
Don't just say what I do. Just me by what I say. If you, the others, and Jacko will only understand what I am trying to do, you will all see me as the true warrior that I am.
But why can't you just be like one of us? An easily understood warrior. Like Jacko.
Because I am not him. I am my own man with my own thoughts. And I will decide my own destiny.
Go ahead, Pastel. Be your own man.
I know I can do it. I will seek guidance from the spirit of my ancestors. I will confuse things between the governor and Jacko. I will convince the governor to take action against Jacko's plan. The spirit of my ancestors will understand the distress I am going through. I can be as courageous as my ancestors. Jacko has no respect for his jurisdiction, and appears to hell bent on challenging our authority.
He just doesn't play by the rules.
You know, these kings don't want orthodox, a truthful untouchable power, or so it seems.
You know, Alex, I am convinced that these hooligans are getting their information from someone among us.
But who and why?
I can assure you, Alex, that if it is true, it would be for him or her the most unfortunate undertaking. Because when I find out who it is, and I will find out, I will have that person executed immediately.
Sir, is that all?
Yes, that is all for now. Now go. Go.
John, the activities over Colin seem to have been orchestrated by Jacko. That man has his tentacles everywhere. And I know he must have had a major part to play in that uprising.
Yes, he has successfully stirred up the French in that stuff. He has a sly way of doing it. He has made life difficult for us, I will grant him that.
But what about the Karens? They too are fighting for land. That must be Jacko wanted.
That is what I have been saying all along. That man is not simple. He is very clever and able to manipulate any situation. But I am sure that he has influence over those Carib Indians and probably even their chief.
But John, do you know that a couple of estate owners complained to me this morning?
Complain of what?
Jacko again and his trade of raids and uprisings.
Yes, of course. And we have received the same usual complaints about the overall decline in the productivity of the island.
John, now is the time to make a move. Let us bring in reinforcements from England. enough soldiers to outnumber Jacobi's men. John! We will do that. We will do that and more. Mass public execution for all suspected supporters. We will see who supports Jacko now.
African leaders would normally get certain messages and inspiration by dreams. Those messages and inspiration came from the fathers, from the ancestors, and Jacob was no exception. Yes, he too had a dream. Jacob had the dream of all.
And the plan that will deliver our people from bondage is at hand. I know it will work because God has told me so. From our network of informers throughout the island, we will be coming the move of our enemies at each and every time. There will be 4 major uprisings within the next month. One in the west, Waliaho, London South, in Brussels. One on the northeastern end of the island with the Indians, and the next one, the biggest of them all, is us. We have enough ammunition and information. We have grown strong.
Jacko, you have been a good leader, strong, wise, confident, and brave.
Warriors! We are not the only ones interested in our freedom. I understand that some of the white men are also appealing on our behalf up in England. Is that so, Calypso?
Yes, Jacko, and our numbers have grown greater as more of our people have come to the hills.
Yes, Jacko. Yes, Jacko. You should be aware of the ones who pretend to be our brother.
We should be aware of everyone. But we must never doubt our abilities. Everything will happen at the right time.
How will we know that time?
A fire in the valley at the northeastern end of the flat. 2 hours before you are to leave, use the entrance to exit the flat. Use the river so no one will be able to retrace your trail. Remember, you must cross the river 7 times. 7 times. The attack will begin with the dismantling of Boso. A few of you will come to the Bobo estate, and when you hear the word we will have the possession of Dominica within 1 week. Ayipada!
What do you want me to do? Kill him?
What is it this time, Patricia? Pastel is on the compound, sir. Pastel. Is he alone? Is he armed? Yes, sir, he's alone and unarmed. Well, let him in then. Alex, I have a plan for him.
Move it! I know what you're thinking, but it's nothing like that. I can deliver Jaco to you tomorrow morning, bright and early. I know exactly where he is. I know I can deliver this time. I want you to trust me, Brother John. One more chance. I can help you. Just give me the men.
Pastel. Is that the best you can do?
We are a good team. We can pull this through, Brother John.
First, I am not your brother. Never was, and never, ever will be.
I can help you. Once and for all, you can have this whole island to yourself. No fear, no fight, peace, and total control.
How many times have you promised me that already?
2 times, Mr. Governor. Well, about 3 times.
6 times. To be exact, Mr. Pastel. You have played your last trick on me. I'm sorry, but your time has just run out.
Come on, God. Give me a week or 2 and I will deliver Jaco.
I thought you said a day.
Realistically, a day is just not enough. And I don't want to disappoint you this time.
A week.
That is it. 1 week.
All right. Pastel, bring Jaco back here alive to me in 2 days, or else I will come and get you personally, as a matter of fact. Follow Pastel. Follow him. And if you should meet any of the other runaways, especially Jaco, you know what to do. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go now. Take sufficient men with you. Happy hunting.
Major Magoon activities in Dominica ran from the late 18th to the early 19th century. Those couple of decades were thought for those who were destined to break away from the accepted norms by running away. At that time, the idea to run away seemed necessary and maybe even simple. But the effects of them runaway, that was far from simple. The most difficult time of that period was the last few years leading up to 1814. By that time, Jaco was still at large, and the governor wanted to kill him with a passion. Things began to get very interesting. If I didn't know how that story ends, I wouldn't even blink. I tell you, things start happening. Just look, and you will see for yourself.
time has come to take decisive action against the runaways. They have caused far too many problems. They are too well organized. They cannot be trusted, and they are growing stronger.
These thugs have terrorized us for much too long. They must be stopped.
But what do we do?
But John, I thought Farcel was your man.
Farcel is not even his own man. Why, Farcel is even outsmarting himself.
John, if only they would take out Jacko now, we would try him and inflict the most serious punishment on him. We must continue to let this coward know who is in charge. We don't need another Haitian revolution here. God forbid. We must be careful.
We must destroy their strongholds, eradicate their settlements, and get them on the run.
I feel that very thing. But things will come along. These runaways can only keep running for a very short time. They will eventually run out of steam.
I certainly hope so. And you know those old chiefs? They are getting older, and I'm sure there are a number of young rebels out there who might be willing to take their place.
If we allow these thugs to continue to build their empire here, they will pollute the established cultural climate.
You know, they are even teaching their people about some sort of African culture. Yes, something that should have been forgotten long ago. I mean, this practice of African culture. It's illegal.
How can they be teaching African culture?
Exactly.
We are in charge.
Exactly. Farcel will help us. This time, I believe he will deliver.
You know, I can't wait to put this matter to rest once and for all. We need to close this unfortunate chapter of the runaway.
They just don't belong.
The longer the situation is allowed to exist, is the greater the likelihood of their story surviving beyond our time.
We must ensure, Alex, that any information that is documented about this era be controlled, be suppressed.
John, if only we take out Jacko now, our mission here will be complete.
I tell you, Alex, I will see peace and order restored here if it is the last thing I do. Something quiet, please.
You, Jacko. Think of you are quiet out there. Banilero.
Farcel up to something like this. What is he trying? What can he do? He can get us into plenty trouble.
I believe he can. And he will. I don't trust that man. Legitimately.
I believe we have settled on this area for too long. I feel danger. This place is not safe anymore. The earth is not settled. Jacob, that is funny. I don't feel in it at all. You really expect to feel it, zombie?
Feel what, Jupiter? Come on, Jupiter. This is no laughing matter. Maybe it's our death.
Victory, I may die, but my dying will not be because of Farcel. It is not my destiny.
Jacko, what can we do?
Hey, time to brighten up. We crucial time, and our very survival depends on us taking crucial action. What crucial action are you talking about, Jacko? I feel we have moved away from the ways of our fathers, and that is bad.
Jacko, what between now?
Victor, we need to move deep into the forest over yonder. Far into the interior. But, Jacob, we're so comfortable here, man. Jupiter, that is my problem. We have become too comfortable, and that is frightening. Jacob, is what you're saying that is frightening. Oh, stop it! Stop it! Every time we disagree, white man and them happy. I feel this place is not safe. I feel danger coming. We need to triumph over every negative force and face whatever challenges come our way.
Jacko, I know this is negative
among us?
Well, if it is, that would be sad. Come on, it's time for us to make contact with our ancestors. Come on, come on. Yes, it is time to call on the spirit of our father. Yes, just as their determination and resilience flow to our veins, so too it will flow to the veins of our children and our children's children. Come on, let us begin. Depends on how well we can use the hidden natural treasures available. But we must keep our eyes on the hills, even though our minds may wander and stray. And we can fight too, and we will carry so.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to this program of the Waitikubli Writers. We are greatly grateful to TDN TV for giving us this opportunity to publicize our work, to showcase what we have been doing. In this program, you will be hearing from a number of members of Waitikubli Group. Some have had works published, others are just beginners. But there is one thing in common, the love of writing. It was the French writer André Breton who said, "Of all those arts in which the wise excel, nature's chief masterpiece is writing well." We cannot claim, however, to produce masterpieces, but we try, and there is much support in the group, everyone helping the other by providing tips for writing, by sending any articles which can promote the writing techniques. And so we want to thank you for listening to us. We want to encourage you to listen to the writers who will read excerpts from their stories or poems this morning. So once again, we do thank TDN TV for allowing us this opportunity to get to you. And we hope that you will purchase copies of our latest collection, in fact, our first collection of short stories, Montage Dominique. And this collection, you can find the books at Jay's Bookstore from members of the group, or you can buy an e-copy from Amazon. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Javania Collier-Didier and I'm a member of the Waitikubli Writers. Last year, in the Independence Literary Competition, I won first place with my poem entitled Do You Read Me in the English Poetry section. Do you read me? Imagine I have stood here since 1906, a symbol of leisure, a symbol of peace, a place where minds are nurtured, where solutions are found, a place of information where learning abounds. Do you read me? In Andrew Carnegie's heart, I was conceived. Philanthropy played a part. A goal was achieved. Designed by Sir Heskiff Bell, I took shape and became a place where reading was fun, a place of public acclaim. Just one of 5 in the Caribbean. What a great privilege. I stand out in architectural design with my wooden rails, my verandas wide, my gabled roof, my big airy windows, my fretwork shown off with pride. Then came that monster David with his strong winds and rain, giving my body a bashing, filling me with much pain. My windows he broke through, my roof he left bare. With water rushing in, it was disaster everywhere. But the role I played was important. I could not be ignored. Back on my feet in due time, service to my patron restored. Everyone was happy. It was such a delight. Standing proud as a peacock, I was back in the limelight. I had the monopoly until the internet came. Choiceless, I followed suit and got into the game. Computers were installed, technology had to be obeyed, but precious books on the shelf still a major part played. She then chose to make her landing, September 18th, 2017. That wicked Hurricane Maria, leaving me broken and beaten. What would become of me? My entrails all a mess. With no answer forthcoming, I chose to wait with bated breath. I thought that, like after David, help would come my way. But here am I, nearly 4 years on, a skeleton to this day. What a pitiful picture. So sad to look at me. Standing here like tarnished gold. I look so derelict, can't you see? And to think that someone would add insult to injury by setting fire to my frame, further helping to destroy me. Not once but twice it happened. I thought that I was cursed, but I held on in suspense. Thank God it was not worse. Please, Dominica, here is my plea. I have done all I could with the resources given me. To many I have been good, helping countless patrons complete their needed task. I now need help in return. Is that too much to ask? I represent our heritage, which needs to be preserved for future generations, a legacy reserved. Do not allow them to thrash me, my beautiful frame to burn. Do not allow them to destroy me, my tradition to spurn. I cry out for mercy. I cry out for help. Do you read me? Do not leave me hopeless. Your petitions have strength. Save me, Carnegie's Free Library.
Hello, my name is Kathy Casimir McLean. I'm a member of Waitikubli Writers Group. I wrote this poem, The Body of Memory, for our Emancipation celebrations of 2020. In this poem, I wanted to express how memory links us to our past and how it informs who and what we are as in our present. Memory steeps our skin, is our ancestral gift kept alive by the folklore of our lives, present, past, continuous. Lives with lost hopes, enduring terror in cramped cargo holds of stinking ships on an Atlantic crossing. Wafts on fetid breath, caught tight on the talons of the whirling whipped, sun-beaten merciless in cane-filled fields, scars the hearts of those repeatedly raped, infants torn away from tortured arms, mothers, brothers, sisters, all scattered. Threads through our minds, woven into action, running to refuge within mountainous forests, defying captivity. Courses about our veins, cleaves us to the land, promising libation to sounds of the voiceless, left nameless, unforgotten. It is our cultural store trapped in our genes, entangling our stories, haunting history, shaping collective memory.
My name is Roy Sanford. I'm a member of Waitikubli Writers. I am about to read an excerpt from my short story, Ma and I, which appeared in Montage Dominique, New Stories and Poems from Dominica, which was published recently by Waitikubli Writers. When the letter arrived from Dominica, it took me 2 days to summon the courage to open it. It had been over 10 years since I'd received a letter from home, and I was afraid of whatever information this one contained. Most likely the news was bad, very bad. I left Dominica in the late 70s when I was 16. It was hard for Ma, since I was her only child, but she wanted the best for me. She wanted me to seek my fortunes in places where opportunities were aplenty. I chose the French island of Marie-Galante simply because it was close by, right across the channel from Dominica. And so I joined a wave of young Dominicans going to work on sugar plantations there. For months before my departure, Ma worked hard, weaving baskets, cultivating all kinds of crops to sell to make sure I had the money that I needed. And so in the dead of night, I took a small boat, loaded with other eager young men, and slipped across the sea, unseen, to Marie-Galante. I was lucky. I got a job the next day on a big sugar plantation and settled down to work. The estate owner was impressed and soon placed me in charge of a group of men on the plantation. Those days were happy days. I wrote every week, and Ma responded in kind. I look forward to these correspondences because I missed her dearly. But soon, over time, my letter writing habits changed. I began writing once a month, then once every 6 months, finally once a year. Eventually, it stopped. And now, over 10 years later, I am receiving a letter from Dominica, and it was not in Ma's handwriting. For 2 days, I was afraid of the tiding it bore. So I hid the letter underneath the mattress and went along my normal duties, but I could not concentrate. I felt ashamed, guilty. I felt regret. Receipt of the letter had jerked into me the stark realization that I had abandoned my mother, the woman who had worked so hard to get me going in life. I remember once Ma told me that one day I would forget her, but she only laughed, and it was not out of amusement. So I was sweating profusely when I pulled the letter from underneath the mattress. It felt heavy. With trembling hands, I opened it carefully, as if afraid a slight mistake might affect its content. The letter was written by my niece Mavella, and it was over a month old. My heart sank. The news was indeed bad. Ma was gravely ill and had been asking for me. She wanted to see me at all costs. It took my brain about a minute to digest the information. I knew I had to get back to Dominic and fast, but that was going to be a daunting task. My Dominican passport had expired some years ago, and I had no French documents. The small boats that used to sneak across the channel from Dominica to Marie-Galante had all ceased operation, and now only an occasional one, loaded with marijuana and other contraband, attempted the journey. After reading the letter, I head down to the beach. I thought I might be lucky enough to get some information about the boat that wanted to take the stealthy trip back home. Across the sea, Dominica lay like a huge whale, and there was every urge in me to hurl myself into the water and swim across. A week later, I found the boat, and once again, in the dead of night, like I did so many years ago, I made my way across to the island where I was born. You can read the rest of the story in Montage Dominic, which is available at Amazon, on Amazon. Keywords, Waitikubli Writers.
Hello everyone, my name is Erwin Mitchell, and I'm a writer and member of Waitikubli Writers Association. Today I'm reading a piece entitled My Smile, and this piece was published in our recently published anthology, Montage Dominic. My Smile. So you've asked, why do I smile? When my troubles are stacked from seabed to sky, and try as I might, I can't seem to get by. When ideas and ambitions can't lift off or fly, should I give up or sit back and cry? When journeys I brave seem brilliant and bright, but the mission at hand is an unyielding fight. The friends that I see in day's blessed night seem to weigh down and drag me in secretive night. I smile. The people I've helped in moments of need would tear off my head through self-driven greed. For my desires and fears no one cares or takes heed, but they gather to reap when I've planted a seed. That broken and tired I took time to sow, while the date of the harvest is all they need know. Protagonists greet me with a heartfelt hello, but the look in their eye is a death-striking blow. I smile. When colleagues and friends start rebelling bold, and family members freely prospect for gold, as if I've inherited some riches to hold, of these negative forces I've never been told. By the ones who taught me to care and to love, as they taught me the value of the Most High above. I thought life would be simple, I'd fit in like a glove, but trials and stress caused my mind to evolve, so I smile. Because I know of a comfort who is stronger than most, so I take all my trials to the heavenly host. The only true friend of whom I proudly boast, he has never neglected me from since we've been close. When life and its burdens bewilder my brain, and trials before me cause heart-wrenching pain, a simple goal seems to present a strain, and normal psyches are driven insane. I ease back and smile. The message I'm sending is easy to say. At times all you need is to kneel down and pray. I never allow tension to ruin my day. Instead, I let him lead, and in his footsteps I stay. When devil's disciples seek to shake down my style and toughen my journey, oh how long is the mile. I need only think, take a rest for a while. While the king takes the lead, I can sit back and smile. Thanks for listening.
Hi, I'm Nicole Georges Bennett, and I'm going to be reading to you my short story Affiliation, which is published in the Montage Dominic anthology, now available in paperback and ebook on Amazon.com. But first, I want you to imagine a society where objectivity is not a choice, and where neutrality is not an option. I hope you can see my colors well. Affiliation. The interview was going so well, I made the mistake of allowing myself to hope. The manager scanned my certificates and I held my breath. I'd done well in my year, 5 1s and 2 2s and A levels in maths and political science. Plus, he didn't know me personally. He was from Antigua. There was still a chance. Well, young man, these look very promising. He smiled at me over his bifocals. I exhaled and gave a lopsided smile in return. I wiped the sweat off my palms onto my slacks. He scanned the questionnaire I'd been required to fill. And then he frowned. Dread began to twist my stomach. He looked at me quizzically. You forgot to tick off under political affiliation, son. He pushed the form across the table at me. I knew it was useless, but I felt the words tumble out of my mouth. I don't have one. I'm neutral. I don't have an interest in politics, I babbled. He stared at me and then his bushy eyebrows rose slowly. So you don't support the current administration? His tone became stern. I tried to meet his gaze, but I felt so disarmed, that I couldn't. I licked my dry lips. I couldn't fail. Not again. Just tell him what he wants to hear, I thought. I don't vote. I don't believe in partisan politics, I said. I heard the hopeless tone in my voice. Well, that's naive. So you must be a supporter of the opposition then. He pulled the form towards him, opened a desk drawer, and dropped it in. He carefully put my certificates back in their folder and handed them back to me, and I took them automatically. I don't support any party, I repeated. I believe government should work for the good of all citizens, regardless of party affiliation. At that moment, the door opened and his secretary came in, and my heart sank. She had not been at her desk when I came in an hour earlier, so I'd escaped her sharp gaze. She was from my neighborhood, and she knew me. It was all over. I turned, I stood up, I stuck my hand out stiffly to him. He glanced at it dubiously, and then he shook it. I turned and I saw the shock of recognition on the secretary's face. As I left, I closed the door, but not before I heard her scandalized whisper. His head not good, you know. He was in the psychiatric unit after his father died. I walked quickly and wiped away hot tears from the corners of my eyes. I could have done that job blindfolded if he'd just given me a chance. I would have been the best employee he'd ever had. I caught the bus home and I stripped off. I had soaked through my dress shirt and jacket. I did my breathing exercises and I repeated my mantra. I am well. All is well. All shall be well. I could hear the whispering of voices at the edge of my consciousness trying to break through, so I built my mental wall, brick by brick. By the time I was finished, I was exhausted but proud. I had not let the voices win. My mother came home during her lunch hour, and we ate sandcoach with dumplings. She chewed methodically, but I could feel her eyes boring into my skull. So you open your big mouth, and you do get the job, not true? She scraped her fork back and forth across her plate loudly. I glanced up and I saw her wipe her face with tissue, leaving wisps of white fluff in the creases of her eyes and in the folds of her neck. She got up and pulled my plate from me. I had been saving a dumpling, and I watched glumly as she popped the whole thing in her mouth. She dropped the dishes with a clatter in the sink. All you have to say is I voting MPP or PPM. That's all you have to say. You're stubborn, just like your father. She said this from between clenched teeth. I watched her shoulders heave and I could hear the voices pressing against my mental wall. I cannot do that, Mommy. Nobody should be forced to support a political party just to get basic human rights and necessities, I said. Don't be calm. Be calm. Don't get angry. All is well. Boy, you are 23 years old. You don't have job. You don't have house. You don't even have a woman. You're crazy in your head and you need the expensive medicine. I cannot take all that burden. She rounded on me, holding a spoon and pointing it at me as her voice rose. How you think you get in the little food we have? How you think you get money to go school in foreign? Huh? Your father with his big talk about democracy. His mouth never stopped running. And it's me that had to go to the minister and beg for them to send you to school. You think that was easy for me? Ah! She jabbed the spoon at me and I felt every jab like a knife stab, tearing through my fragile psyche. He was a man of integrity, I said. He believed in a free and fair democracy. He died like a dog in his own vomit because no doctor would take him. And when he was so sick that last time we sit in the ER in the hallway and those nurses walk up and down by us, nobody to check us. The minute I say his name, the matron say his voter card show he doesn't vote and he not a true patriot. Sorrow rose out of her and surrounded her like a black storm cloud. It looked like she was drowning in it. I started to open my mouth to warn her, but suddenly realized it might be better not to. You taking your pills now? Her eyes narrowed suspiciously. I nodded because I couldn't trust myself to lie. I tried not to, but I began to picture my father lying on the floor of a hospital hallway. I knew I shouldn't think like that. It was a dangerous train of thought. In my imagination, he lay on the cold floor. Was it tiled or hard concrete? Did he feel the cold seep into his fevered bones? I looked through his eyes at the stockinged feet and orthopedic shoes flashing by. Did he regret his obsession for equality? All he had to do was say the right words, declare his party, announce his colors, or wave a flag, just to save his life. But he didn't. Instead, he died like a dog, just as my mother said. I felt the fury build up in me, not at the way of life that dictated I must align politically in order to get food and shelter and education. I was angry at my father for his outlandish principles and his refusal to conform. The voices echoed so loudly in my head that they shattered the protective wall that I had constructed, and now they ran rampant into every corner of my mind. I am well, all is well, all shall be well. But the voices screamed louder and gave me a new mantra. He was a fool. You are a fool, and you will die like a fool. My mother, her head and torso the only things visible from the storm cloud only I could see, left the house to go back to work. I went to the sink and I started to wash up, but the gleam of the silver knives seduced me. I rinsed the soap off my shaking hands and I went to my room. I had 2 doses left in the bottle that my mother had begged from a nurse at the public clinic. Because of my father, she would never have clear access to the necessities of life. But because she attended a political party's campaign meetings, she managed to eke out a living as a public toilet cleaner. I, however, would never be so lucky. I had inherited my father's disease, a conscience that could never be compromised. Thank you for listening.
a poem entitled She's No Longer There. Happy reading. For decades so many, we walked past by her daily, a figure so strong standing in the corner right there. As the time slowly passed, so grew the fears she secretly amassed of a time to come when she will no longer be around, a topic of sad discussion for many. Body shades of brown, a frame so voluptuously round, cracks and scars, long and deep, some coursing their way to the ground. She did not complain of her pain, and never did she seem weak. Skin coarse to the touch, layered her body throughout, but her inner beauty, oh, different shades, but just as pretty. She was bold, she was strong. Her rings of age she was so proud of. She weathered the storms 1 century long, sometimes beaten, at times battered, but never once had she fallen, and to her that was all that mattered. Seasonally, her arms gave freely of the sweet fruit that only she could bear, to many a passerby from the ground below, or those that swooped down from the tropical sky. Her mane whispered in the breeze, perhaps the many secrets of the Madame Jean Rees, who would have enjoyed her cooling shade, or peered longingly at the juicy mangoes she made. In 2020 came the day when her leaves no longer would wither away, when her branches men and boys could no longer climb to pick of her fruit so sweet, so divine. The day she knew would come one day when she had to go, unable to stay. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Dorothy Levy and I'm going to read an excerpt from my short story entitled The Double Blessing at Christmas. And this story is in our anthology, Montage Dominique, New Stories and Poems from Dominica. I'm part of the Waitikubli group of writers. The story opens with a woman on her way to the Christmas novena because she feels that she has been through a very rough patch and she feels much better now. After the Mass, she exchanged greetings with acquaintances and, armed with an umbrella, left the church for the walk home. She took pleasure in the signs of Christmas preparations all around. The primary school was already closed, so some children were gathered under a tree, shelling pigeon peas for their parents. The occasional squeals she heard from them indicated they had found worms in the shells. Others were peeling sorrel. She had taken part in all those activities as a child, had joined in the exaggerated squeals when she saw a worm wriggling its way out of a pigeon pea or the shell. She noticed a table under a tree on an empty lot and knew that the meat from the animals killed would be sold there. Sounds of Christmas carols were heard from houses, most of which were already decorated with wreaths, garlands, and other festive items. There were Christmas trees on some porches. Once she arrived home, however, a feeling of sadness overwhelmed her, and she had to sit while she fought it off. What was it the counselor in the hospital had told her? Each year, Mrs. Osmond, as December 23rd approaches, you may experience the pain, but you must not let it overpower you. You must forgive yourself. She entered her son's room. It was almost 8 years since Bruce had left, or rather, 8 years since she had screamed and shouted at him to get out of her house and life, because she thought she was raising a man and he obviously was not one. The room was as he had left it. His pictures of Juice WRLD, Kodak Black, and Tupac, though faded, was still on the wall. To Isabella, it was a sanctuary, but it was also a confessional area. She sat on Bruce's bed, and memories came flooding back. Her husband's abandonment when her son was 12 was the first major disruption in what had seemed their normal lives. Timothy, her husband, had given no indication that he was unhappy, that he was different. Though he had moved with his partner to another village, rumors spread quickly on a small island. She had tried her best to ignore the shame and embarrassment. Perhaps she had focused too much on her son, reminding him he was the man of the house, her protector. Did Bruce already exhibit certain signs which she had missed? The counselor assigned to her at the hospital had told her, any parent who goes searching the room of an 18-year-old must be prepared for anything found. She had been far from prepared that morning 8 years ago when she entered her son's room while he was at a football game. She had gone to see if he had borrowed a pair of scissors which she kept in her room, but curiosity got the better of her and she decided to search through his dresser drawers. The sheet of paper with the typed words found in the top drawer of his dressing table under some T-shirts was obviously part of a letter, but the rest of the letter was missing. She had taken up the sheet, had read and reread with anger mounting. He had come upon her while she was holding the paper. It was as though her anger at his father, even after all the years, and the shock she felt came to boiling point in her head and exploded. Isn't it enough that your father left us and went to live with someone young enough to be his son? So, you are like your father? You are no son of mine. Get out, leave, she had shouted. She was 52 at the time, and she worked at the treasury in the second town. She had moved there with Bruce after her husband had left her. Though 8 long years had passed, she remembered clearly the day after the incident. She could not get out of bed and had kept replaying the scene with Bruce. The counselor had tried to help her at the hospital, had even instilled some doubt in her mind when he asked, "Are you sure the feelings expressed on the paper were those of your son?" "I read the words," Isabella had replied. Bruce wrote that he could no longer live a lie. It was there on paper. He wrote of the daily conflict which would kill him if he did not accept who and what he was. "I was mother and father to him after his father left us. He was aware of how I juggled work hours to attend PTA meetings, to be at home with him. Imagine how it hurts to read that he had to escape to liberate himself. I feel I have failed as a mother." During her stay at the hospital, she had sessions every other day with the counselor. When she continued blaming herself, he had asked her the following: "Do you think there is any mother who prays to God for her son to be gay? Suppose a mother discovers her son is gay. Is he less her son? Should her love suddenly be erased because he feels he cannot live a lie, cannot live with the conflict of pretending to be who he is not? Do you love your son, Mrs. Osmond?" And you can read the rest of the story, as I said, in Montage Dominique, New Stories and Poems from Dominica. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Gwyneth Whitford. I'm a member of Waitikubli Writers. My poem is titled Nature Island Night Show. The harsh metallic glare of a steamy afternoon suddenly fades as the sun drops into the sea. In its place, cool blues, fiery oranges, and bold reds are followed by silvery silhouettes and passing shadows. This shimmering curtain, in the shade of dusk, quickly falls at 15 degrees north and is upstaged by peeps, croaks, and hoots from nocturnal creatures whose time has come, as they are part of the night show with its breathtaking backdrop of celestial orbs, sparkling stars, and a captivating moon that invites spectators to abandon cares and cherish every moment while savoring the splendor of a nature island night. Thank you.
I stood at a bedroom window and gazed at the community below. It was still, deathly quiet, like a painting on canvas. This area was by then the COVID-19 coronavirus hotspot of the world. These times were not only sad and lonely, but they were also the most revealing, healing, inspiring days for me. I am Andrea Anthony Drigo. I am a member of Waitikubli Writers. Also a co-writer of our book, Montage Dominique, New Story and Poems from Dominica. I will now read you an excerpt from my poem, which is entitled While Waiting. People darting to and fro. It seemed like the whole world has somewhere to go. At number 1, we took the subway train, bearing down upon each other from far and wide. We came. Crowds thronged Broadway Street, museums, and Central Park. As far as the eye could see, bright lights lit the dark. Brooklyn Bridge overrun with photographers, with cameras held high. Tourists, civilians, merrymakers. Onward and around in ignorant bliss, not aware that in Asia something's amiss. At number 2, the first cases came ashore, with a few planes full of travelers, then more and more, bringing in people from every walk of life to mingle among the masses. A businessman, doctor, nurse, a housewife. They came with a symptom like flu, fever, and ache. A coronavirus, dangerous and new.
Hello, I'm Kathy McLean. I'm a member of the Waitikubli Writers, and I would like to read you an extract from my story Auntie Beau, The story is set in the past, in the late 1920s, and is narrated from the point of view of a young man. I first noticed her one afternoon when the Bois Carib was in full bloom, as she walked through the botanic gardens with her companions. I was sitting in the shade of the broad-branched banyan tree reading Great Expectations. Except for the bird song and the thud of fruit falling from the nearby cannonball tree, it was a dreamy, peaceful afternoon. The sound of laughter and high girlish voices drew me away from Pip's agonizing about Astella. I looked up and saw a group of 3 young women talking animatedly. I knew that they must be from one of the Roseau Creole families. All 3 were pale-skinned, but the shortest of the 3 sported the hint of gold, the warm tones of the Malatress. I noticed her luxuriant dark hair escaping her hat, and the eyes which appeared too large for her almond-shaped face. She was recounting some incident which seemed to throw her companions into paroxysms of laughter. She glanced in my direction, and for a moment the tamarind eyes met mine. My heart skipped a beat, and then began a dance of its own. However, I do believe that I remained invisible in the shade of the great tree. Who was she? I wanted to know more. I was captivated by this tea-bell fee. How could I find out? From her dress and manner, I knew I would not find her wandering around the market square or strolling through the port. As the young women moved on, I noticed they were being followed by 2 older women, walking at a more leisurely pace and carrying umbrellas against the sun. The taller of the 2 called out, "Girls, slow down. This is supposed to be a pleasant afternoon stroll." "Les jeunes filles est toujours pressées," she complained to her companion. "Eh bien, you'd think they were carrying an urgent message," replied the other. I smiled at the impatience of age and youth. Luckily, I knew the older women. They were the Gillet sisters, chaperoning their nieces, which was good and bad. Good because I would be able to track her down, but bad because it was well known that Mademoiselle Marie-Claire and Mademoiselle Juliette, the chaperones, were snobs who did not believe in the mixing of races or classes. They took great pride in their French heritage, their soft, silken tresses and pale skin. I had heard they were horrified when their brother Jean had fallen for une femme nègre. As I watched the women disappear through an avenue of mahogany trees, I resolved to find out more. I could not return to my book. My concentration had vanished along with their gay laughter and skipping feet. The world around me seemed different and would never be the same again. I realized I was humming "If You Were the Only Girl." On the way home, I visited my friend Louis and his wife Francine. We sat on the veranda with its view towards the Roseau harbour, chatting over a glass of rum. The warm evening breeze ruffled the leaves of the fruit trees in their garden. The sun was beginning its descent into the sea, transforming it to a burnt ochre. "You seem distracted tonight," Francine remarked. "Un petit bazoudi." Louis laughed. he saw a girl. You know, one of the Gilets, the one called Angela, La Petite Mulatresse. She seems to have taken his mind with her. I see, Francine mused. Oh well, Joe, you were always a man for a challenge. No, bonne chance.
I hope you have enjoyed the pieces presented to you. As you can see, the writings are on a variety of themes, but they all highlight or touch on aspects of life in Dominica. Many of the poems celebrate the natural beauty of Dominica. It was William Wordsworth, the poet, who said, "Poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful emotions." And we can see the love of Dominica shining forth in some of the poems which celebrate Dominica. Again, let me say that we thank TDN TV for making it possible for more people to hear the works of our group and to support our writers. You too can help by getting a copy, as I said, at Jay's bookstore from members of the group, or getting a copy from Amazon. And what better time than now when you can give a copy as a Christmas gift to friends and family. Our group really delights in using the imagination. It was another writer who said, creative writing is putting your imagination on a page. And this is what many of our members do. They use whatever gifts, whatever talents to bring delight to readers. So please, we thank you for supporting our group, and we take this opportunity to thank TDN TV for supporting us also in that way. Thank you.
One day, we will claim our freedom. In the heights, at last. You are in a lot of danger. What are you doing up here? Come out, Jaco. Let us talk, Jaco. Talking to you might mean something different to me. We're in the same struggle, Jaco. We should work together. What? Come on, Jaco. Give us a chance. Tell us. Jaco. Jaco. How much will you offer? How much is hanging on my head, I say? What you talking about? How much? Nothing, Jaco. Nothing. Well, you have to come to yourself. We move into higher heights. Jaco! I want to tell you something. I must see your best. We must start face to face, Jaco. As a matter of fact, leave my car. Go on, I say, leave. Anger, Jaco. That is not like you. Get up, or we will have to force you. Jaco! You changed. No. It is you who have changed. And your presence here, it will shiver my blood. You even look white. Survival is the key, Jaco. And you're only playing the game of survival, not death. One of us will not survive this. Who? Which one? All of us can survive, Jaco. I have the white man confused. Pastel, I'm not playing your game of death, I said. Go on, Jaco! Use me! Are you so dummy? Let me hold him! Leave him. Let him lick them, Pastel. Why? Why we have to do this? us walk. Like we have no time to wait. Come on, my friends. Let us go.
Fight them all out. Kill them. No one should be allowed to go free. Fear no effort. This is our best chance.
Yago! What do we do?
Stand and fight. Resist. Don't surrender. Fight. Kill them. Fight. My people will one day rise up to avenge my death. You will pay for every drop of blood that was shed. My people will and must be free. One of us will one day rule this great land. My people must be free. Aifada Achamoria!
The story that you never know. And the same story, I hope you will tell your children. And they too will tell their children's children. Baba, oh, I have to go back to where I've been for the past 225 years. But if you ever forget that story, my spirit will come back to haunt you forever and never.
Sham, me I go do what me want do. Yeah, DJ again. We I go do what we want do. Yeah, yeah. Me I go do what me want do. Govern my own moves. Me see a rat chat things. Certain boy think a chat thing, but me I go do what me want do. Govern my own moves. Me see a rat chat things. Certain boy think a chatty thing, but me get this money by me lonely. Double up the bag where them want me. Control the scheme like me own it. I mean I play games like Sony. Me said this and I throw things. Money in the bank and I post things. With the opportunity we the